In the previous section, we talked about the importance of massaging your keyword phrases into the text of your article content. Now, in this section, we'll discuss how to SEO optimize the web page itself, how to SEO optimize the actual HTML web page that houses your content. So in order to really develop a deep understanding of on-page SEO and web development in general, we need to develop the ability to observe our website from two distinct perspectives. We need to understand how a human uses our website, and we need to understand how a robot uses our website. Recall that Google's job is to catalog the web, and they do this by deploying thousands of robots, thousands of programs, that scour the content of every website on the internet. These programs have lots of names. They're often called robots or bots or spiders or crawlers. Google's program is usually referred to as Googlebot. But either way, if you're going to get good at on-page SEO, then you need to develop the ability to harmonize the needs of both of these users, the human users and the robot users. When humans visit our website, they want an efficient and aesthetically pleasing user experience. When robots visit our website, they're looking for content and keywords and links. And they'll use these as clues to infer what sort of topics our website is about, what sorts of keywords that our website should rank for in Google search. So learning how a human user sees our website is mostly the discipline of user interface design. That's the other module in this class. But in this module, the SEO module, we'll learn to see our web page like Googlebot does. Or more specifically, we need to learn to see a web page like the software engineers who built Googlebot see a web page. We need to think like a programmer does. So how do we do that? Well, I think the best way is just to imagine that you're a programmer and you've just been hired at Google, and your job is to catalog the entire internet, meaning you have to save and organize the text of every web page in the world into a database. So before trying to do this job on the actual internet, let's pretend that you could somehow control the layout of every single web page in the world. In other words, let's pretend that every web page in the world had the exact same format, and you had the power to force every website owner in the world to use one design, one HTML layout, one that you yourself choose. So ask yourself, what would you want each web page in the world to look like? What configuration of HTML would make your job at Google the easiest? So we're going to do a thought experiment. We're going to envision the platonic ideal of an SEO optimized HTML website. We're going to go through each one of these HTML tags in depth and talk about how they might be ideally used in the creation of a perfectly formatted website, a website that we could easily write a computer program to read and organize. So we'll start at the top. We're building an HTML document, so we need to type in our opening and closing HTML tags. And we're about to start typing in the body of our content article, so let's add our body tags. Okay, that's easy so far. Moving on to heading tags. Now we need to write the title of our article. Recall that our web page example was about how to build a doghouse. So we need to write the words how to build a doghouse in our document. Now, this part confuses people a little bit, but it's easy. Your rendered on-page document title should be written in the H1 tag. The tag H1 stands for heading 1. So generally, you should just have one H1 tag per web page, and it should sum up the main topic of the page, preferably using high search volume keywords that reflect your article topic. So this might seem pretty easy so far, but a surprising number of web developers don't even get this far. Quite often, you'll come to a web page where you'll see the H1 tag used again and again and again throughout the page, often in the company logo as well. There's an example of this over at the AskTheBuilder.com site. In this slide, we're highlighting the H1 tag markup and circling the H1 text, and you'll notice that it appears 7 times on this page. So I hope you're starting to see how difficult the job of a Google engineer is. The Google engineers have to program their robot to be smart enough to ignore all these other H1 tags on the page. And their bot has to make a guess about which H1 tag actually represents the article title. this main text here on top. It's easy for a human to see that this is the title of the article, but it's very difficult to teach a robot to infer that. You have to program that robot to know when to ignore improperly used H1 tags. That's tricky to do. Now let's get back to our example code. So we've used our heading 1 tag, the H1 tag, for the document title. But in HTML, we actually have 6 H tags to work with. The SEO value is probably more dominant on the H1 and H2 tags, and it likely fades away quickly after that. We use our H1 tag for our page title, so how might we use the H2 tag? Personally, I like to use it as a subtitle. So notice here, I've created a subtitle for the website just below our H1 tag. I like subtitles like this because, again, people's attention online is very fickle. So the subtitle is an opportunity to tell the user what this document is about with more specificity. Also, it has SEO value because it's an opportunity to accentuate another batch of keywords above the fold on our webpage. So in the subtitle, I've written, "Our step-by-step plans teach you how to construct a simple outdoor doghouse for your new pet." Now recall from our keyword research that the people who were typing in doghouse-related queries we're also using words like plans, simple, and outdoor, so I've included these words in our H2 tag as well. Again, notice we're massaging our keywords into our article content. Okay, so there's our H1 and H2 tags. What about the other heading tags, H3 through H6? There aren't really any hard rules here. After the H1 tag, the manner in which you utilize the other heading tags is fairly subjective, but basically their original intent was to be used in a content hierarchy, a document outline. Notice that Wikipedia does a pretty good job with heading tags. A lengthy Wikipedia page has a pretty tight hierarchy. This is the wiki page on the foreign policy of the Obama administration. If we highlight the HTML heading code, we can see the layout logic here. Notice that the main topic of this part of the wiki page is on the Middle East. So that has an H2 tag. Then the topic is broken down. We have an H3 tag around the war in Iraq. And then the article drills down one more level to the 2014 intervention. And at this level, we're at an H4 tag. So this is a very nicely laid out web document. This is how heading tags were meant to be used, in a logical hierarchy of descending content levels. But in any case, beyond the creation of a keyword-rich H1 tag, I wouldn't spend too much time scrutinizing over each individual heading tag. Googlebot is pretty smart these days, and the vertical positioning of your text on the web page is probably more important than the number of the heading tag you're using. There's a video by Google engineer Matt Cutts called "Does the Ordering of Heading Tags Matter?" where he says not to sweat it too much, but to avoid plastering your page with H1s. In other words, you want to avoid doing this. Like in our Ask the Builder example, you want to avoid doing something silly and just labeling everything with an H1 tag. So as long as you're using some modicum of hierarchical logic with your headings, you should be okay. Okay, so we have our title and our subtitle filled out. Now let's paste in our actual article text, our first paragraph. So here's our first paragraph of content nested in a P tag. P, of course, stands for paragraph. You'll recall from the previous section how we were careful to keyword optimize our article content, giving special attention to our first paragraph. So if we did our job correctly in the previous section, then our text here is already nicely SEO optimized. Now let's add some bold text to our document. Text formatting, like bold and italics, are represented in a set of HTML tags called the phrase tags. So of course, to bold a phrase, we simply place the strong tag around our text. In our example, we've bolded the keyword phrase easy doghouse plans, which is searched for 210 times per month. So it's a keyword phrase we'd like our webpage to rank for. Now, bolding important keyword phrases in your article is an old SEO trick from the early days of SEO. It's probably an artifact of a time when the bots were much more naive. And so we would help the bots assign more importance to certain keyword phrases by wrapping the keyword phrase with a tag, the bold tag or often the italics tag, EM as well. These days, bolding keywords and text formatting in general probably has negligible SEO value. But I thought I would mention it here because it often comes up in SEO discussions. But aside from a programmatic SEO value, bolding important phrases in your document adds a certain aesthetic value. It makes your document easier to skim for your readers and makes a large body of text look nicer and more approachable. So even if there isn't much direct SEO value, there might be some indirect value here because it'll make your document more readable and may prompt your users to stick around longer. Now let's take a moment to talk about internal links. What is an internal link? It's just a link between two pages on the same website, the same domain. So on the left, we have one web page on your site, and it contains a link to another web page on your site. Notice our link is in a paragraph. When people use the word internal link, they're usually referring to a contextual link, a link that is nested inside a paragraph in your article body and is pointing to another web page on your site somewhere. So in our HTML code, we've added another paragraph and I've created a link to our puppy training tips page. So what's the value in that? What is the SEO value of internal links? Let's look at a typical example. In our Doghouse website, assume that we were trying to lure search traffic to our pitch page for 3 different keywords. In the Google Keyword Planner, we see how to build a doghouse. That's our primary trophy keyword phrase. It has 8,100 searches per month. How to make a doghouse has 1,900 searches. And DIY doghouse, do-it-yourself doghouse, which has 210 searches per month. Now, in an ideal SEO world, our How to Build a Doghouse webpage will pop up in Google for all 3 of these keywords. So, one way that Googlebot is able to infer which page in our website contains content for a given keyword phrase is to look at the anchor text of the incoming links. So our pitch page is about how to build a doghouse. That keyword is in the title and the H1 tag. So suppose we have another page on our website with a relevant paragraph about doghouses. So we can use this opportunity to insert one of our other keyword phrases here. How to make a doghouse. That was our second keyword. And again, suppose we have yet another page with a relevant doghouse paragraph in which we could insert our third keyword phrase, DIY doghouse. So what are we telling Googlebot here? When Googlebot scrapes our website, it will see these subpages pointing to our main page, and it will associate the keywords in our link anchored text with the target web page. Since we're pointing to our pitch page via these keywords, how to make a doghouse and DIY doghouse. So we're signaling to Googlebot that our how to build a doghouse page is the page that should be coming up when someone in the world types these other keywords into Google search as well. Recall that one of the ways that Google is able to ascertain what a web page is about is to read the anchor text in the incoming links from other web pages. So when you create keyword optimized internal links, then you're giving Googlebot a free hint about what sort of content resides at the target page. So back to our example code. Here, we're assuming that we want to create a contextual internal link to one of our other pages, perhaps our puppy training tips page. Now notice, in our example code, we didn't use the keyword phrase in its entirety. The complete keyword phrase is puppy training tips, but we're just using the words puppy training. You don't have to use the exact keyword phrase in its entirety every single time you create a link. In fact, a lot of SEO guys say you should rarely do this. In any case, don't sacrifice your users' reading experience in an attempt to gain a modicum of SEO value. Your article needs to be readable and entertaining for your users. Now, another benefit of internal links is that they purportedly pass around so-called link juice. In the original PageRank algorithm, the accumulated PageRank value of a document bleeds through via the links on that document. So use internal links often. They are a much under-recognized facet of on-page SEO. Now, notice how often they appear in a typical Wikipedia page. Here's the George Washington Wikipedia page, and I've accentuated all of the internal links. There's 20 internal links appearing in just the first 3 paragraphs of this document. All of these links point to other Wikipedia pages, of course. Now, depending on the size of your website, you probably won't have that many links, but don't be afraid to add several to your textual content. Now let's add a simple navigation menu. So there are lots of different ways to build navigation menus, and there isn't one perfect taxonomy that applies to every website in the world. Each website is different. But remember, this is just a theoretical thought experiment for SEO. I've just added a simple horizontal navigation bar to the top here. Now, in terms of SEO, the makeup of navigation bars is not much different than our internal links discussion in the previous section. Whatever sort of navigation bar you have, it should be populated with links to your website's most important pages. The navigation bar is there to help the user navigate around your website, of course. These links here on top are the ones that actually get clicked on. The other links on your site are, relatively speaking, ignored by your users. The horizontal navigation bar gets a lot of mouse action. Now remember, with links, you often want your link anchored text to feature the primary keyword phrase that describes the destination page. In this bar, I'm using keyword optimized links. I'm using keywords taken directly from the Google Keyword Planner. You'll notice that each of these keywords has significant search volume. Now remember, this is just a theoretical SEO example website. In a more real-world web business, you'd usually have less blatantly SEO optimized navigation links. Instead of puppy training tips, the link might just say free tips. Instead of dog houses for sale, the link might just say store. Just as we mentioned in our internal links section, you don't necessarily have to make every link on your website utilize a high volume keyword phrase. Use the text that makes the best sense to your users. The link's anchor text is just one factor of many in SEO.